up, I had a simple leaflet route job. My folks let me have it as a means of learning the value of a dollar and being able to fund what would be a very expensive gaming habit. $5 a fortnight in the late 90s. Later, I'd learned that my folks were skimming the bulk of the money to pay for groceries. Lucky for them, back in the day, I thought $5 was a damn good deal. Thanks, Mum. Thanks, Dad. Eventually, we would hit the 2000s, still working that job. I would save up for buying bigger new releases, but at $5 a fortnight, I had to make sure that what I picked a banger. That was going to be the only game for a few weeks or months. Morrowind was one of those big games that I bought, and this was before I was reading reviews, so it was on a gamble. The gamble was the cover. The cover and the box art alone is what sold me on Morrowind. Was one of those big games I bought before reading reviews, and I was sold on the cover and the box art alone. A quick arm twist to the parents to let 11-year-old get into an M15 game. I am proud of my parents to have this lapse of judgment. Hearing the opening score by Jeremy Soule, I was in. I was sold. Whatever Bethesda was working on, they were getting my leaflet money from here on out. This was also when I started going online, searching for video game reviews and previews to learn what was coming out to better optimize my cash flow from going in and out. GameStop being my one-stop place for all my upcoming news. Starfield is the complete inverse and perversion of the 11-year-old Walshy's vision of the future of gaming. Hello, I'm Walshy1, and I wish to talk to you about Starfield, RPGs, and expectations in general. If you enjoy this discussion, feel free to give me a like and a follow, and maybe comment down below for, all that algorithm business and whatnot. As mentioned earlier, I've been following Bethesda closely for most of my life. Some would say we were tight, some would say we were bros. Between Bethesda and Blizzard, we can extract a few things from my life. How things have changed? They've changed horribly. Some of you are probably upset about thinking about the good old glory days of 2000 to 2010s on how great Bethesda and Blizzard were smashing it out of the park. It's like a miracle that any of us saw the sun. And it's also probably a good pinpoint location for why I didn't get to go out much and why I didn't get many dates. Starfield is out, and thank goodness it was available on GamePass, as the cost of living has made it increasingly hard to purchase new games. Now, you're probably sitting there going, well, wait a minute, Walshy, didn't you just call Starfield a perversion of your childhood, and now you're worried about missing out? That doesn't seem right. And you know what? I'll have to say, gold star, you're paying attention. Yes, that's on hindsight after the fact, but this is before I played Starfield, before I knew it would be a perversion of my childhood. On launch, reviews were out and the ramblings of, oh, it's a Bethesda game, a collective coping mechanism that we all have for any bugs and glitches and flaws that come from all Bethesda titles. Which it makes me curious, why is this still a thing? Honestly, why is this still a thing? I mean, Arcane pulled a Bethesda with Redfall releasing an overhyped buggy piece of shit, and we told them a new asshole from here to Kingdom Come, and yet Bethesda gets a pass over and over? Hell, I would argue that Arcane has a similar background of classics like Bethesda, with them being responsible for Dishonored, Wolfenstein, and Prey. Just fuck Arcane, apparently. It bothers me that Bethesda and gaming in general is the one place that this sort of shit still gets a pass and flies. Can you imagine going to the movies? Going to see the new Star Wars movie when the cool lightsaber fight begins. Instead of cool CGI and practical effects and all that crap, they just pull sticky notes out and do drawings of the lightsaber fights. And then everyone in the theater kind of collectively shrugs their shoulders and goes, what do you expect? It's a Disney movie. I expect that if you take a decade to make something with millions of dollars invested, times in the thousands of development, if I give you money for a product, I expect the damn product to work. So Starfield. Those are my feelings towards it. I'm glad that Bethesda has made Starfield, as the annual release of Elder Scrolls and Fallout was getting a bit old, and I'd imagine the dev team are really eager to try something new. I think out of every dev team that's out there that's been stuck in a rut, I think Bethesda is the one that needed it the most. Which is why it's a little sad to see Starfield, where if you put it side by side with Fallout, you can see the same bones. Yeah, there's some space travel in there, but honestly, it feels like you're just putting a wig on a skeleton. It's the same bones. But you know what? Baby steps, baby steps. We'll get a bit more creative and daring with time, hopefully. So, Starfield opens with you being a miner. Well, not child, but the profession. Take my hats off. I feel like this opening was Bethesda really trying to flex and show what they've improved in their animation department. Even going back to Skyrim, it always felt clunky and awkward with the character animations during cutscenes and conversation pieces. everyone walking and talking like almost like they were puppets or marionettes. Everything just sort of holding up, talking, don't move, don't blink, occasionally moving, raising the eyebrows up and down. It didn't get any better really with Fallout 4. That just still also felt very awkward. I'm guessing this is why that they decided to always kind of zoom the camera in close to the face, just so you couldn't see what the body was doing or what the hands were doing. Just as I was being impressed with the animations and the coming to the idea of you being a miner, we see.
Yeah, because God forbid we drill on a rock with breathable atmosphere. Because God forbid we drill on a rock with breathable atmosphere.
All of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
The glowing reviews and praises being tossed left, right, and center. There was one phrase being constantly echoed and parroted by reviewers and fans alike. Starfield is the most polished Bethesda game to launch to date. I streamed this for the first time, me playing it, and you know what? We'll have to agree to disagree because...
The one note I had on your file was troublemaker.
Hell yeah. If the game stopped glitching, something around with them. Just the random, just all of a sudden they appear. That was really cool, like of how to do space lockpicking. Bugs would slowly come through, and you know what? Regardless whether it was my computer sets were set to high, medium, low, VSync on, VSync off, stuttering was real, lip syncing was all over the place, and gunfights just turned into PowerPoint presentations. Since the stream, I have managed to resolve these issues, but it was resolved with one of the most confusing fixes I've seen to date in a game. And that was to make sure it was installed on a solid-state hard drive. Nowhere in the installation and downloading process was this advertised as a requirement. A request, a requirement. Not even on startup with the game going, well, you've got this installed on the wrong hard drive. I see you've got a solid-state hard drive, maybe you should move it. It was only after Googling why does Starfield keep freezing during gunfights that I discovered that it requires a solid-state hard drive. And it's a widespread issue that is barely getting any visibility on it. And it wasn't until I had the issue that I started Googling, going down some rabbit holes, that I really started to learn how weird and just a mess that this game was put together. Which this led to a rabbit hole of wondering how this game was put together and how it runs, which honestly is a wild ride. I want to stress that I'm not a developer, but I've had the pleasure of chatting to developers at conferences and sitting in on panels and listening to them yarn about how games are put together. Currently, there's a few theories going around, and I think personally there's a combination of these theories that sounds correct. The current ongoing theory that seems to be persistent is that Todd Howard really likes the idea of persistence in his open world game. Persistence, for those who are in the front row, is the idea of having an object remain when you're far away from it. The idea of placing an object such as a gun or maybe a vegetable on the floor of your house, leaving and coming back and having that object still be there. Normally, when you're away from the object at a certain distance or you're not looking at the object gets unloaded from the game, and a sort of sticky note is made in the memory of where this object is and what this object should be. When you return, the game looks towards the memory, sees the sticky note, and loads the object back. So, for example, you have a table that has 5 potatoes, a clock on it. There's the sticky note that has the idea of the objects, loads it into the memory. You leave, you come back, the object is pulled back, and there you go. Boom. Persistence and the illusion of it. That's just a idiot's way of explaining it. This is done to take the weight off the processing power of the computer and give the game engine some breathing space, letting you have a large world without having to simulate it all at once. Maybe if you're feeling a little sexy and a little daring, you might have objects that include timing, that have them moving around. So you're not having them physically there, but there's a reference table that says where certain objects and people will be at certain times. Certain devs have struggled with this, with games like Yandere Simulator, where he couldn't quite work out how persistence works, so he just had everything constantly existing at once, all everywhere, and which is why Yandere Simulator just chugged like an unholy beast, and even top-end rigs would catch on fire trying to run it. Now, the theory is that the game and the engine that Starfield uses, the creation engine, is unable or is not easily able to run this level of persistence. Or maybe the developers from Bethesda aren't really aware on how to run persistence and utilize it properly. I like to think there's probably a middle ground between the lack of knowledge and the creation engine just not being able to run persistence. Annoyingly, even with the requirement of a SSD, Starfield will bombard you with a criminal and unholy amount of loading screens, which on a role-playing game where you're meant to be immersed in 2023 is no short of a sin. Let's talk about loading screens. In short, what is a loading screen? I'm glad you asked. A loading screen is a tool for unloading a large area of all of its objects and assets to load in a new one. I bring this up because I want to get lost in Starfield. I want to be in a space game and immersed, but you will be encountering an ungodly amount of loading screens. You're in a space game, you're going to want to travel by spaceship. The idea of traveling from one planet to another planet involves a minimum of 4 loading screens. Or, if you don't want to encounter the loading screens, use fast travel, but fuck your immersion. Start to think that the creation engine is just not built for the task at hand. Starfield has some strong ties with Fallout, for better and for worse. I think Fallout 4 is where Starfield started from and where it got its framework and its starting position from. Bethesda really have this weird trend of improving on some elements from previous titles, but then watering down other elements. Almost a one step forward, 3 steps back motif. Starfield annoyingly keeps this trend going nice and strong with the combat and character creation getting a bit of polish, while everything else seems to take a hit, with the biggest victim being the writing. We're going to need to go into spoilers for the opening hours of Starfield, so if you're looking to get into Starfield spoiler-free, please skip to the timestamp below here. Alright, you good? Alright, let's go. So Starfield opens with you being part of a mining detail when you uncover a mysterious artifact. I know, we haven't done that one before, have we? Touching the artifact triggers your character to collapse and have a vision of music and lights. That'll be important for later. You'll be tossed quickly into character creation, where you get the usual, here's a data pad, let's make a character. If you've played New Vegas, you know exactly what's happening. It's the exact same thing of what got shot by the head and getting patched up by the doctor. You'll meet the buyer of the object who had the same vision as you from a similar object. Pirates ambush the deal going down. The buyer, whose name is Barrett, insists that you're now part of the mystery. You need to drop absolutely everything and go meet his club, Constellation. Barrett, who has just met you, gives you his ship and the services of his robot Vasco to go meet his club. Barrett stays behind at the mining facility to help protect it from further pirate attacks, even though later on you find that the pirates are actually tracking his ship and not Barrett himself, because the ship has been linked to all the loot that's been getting pulled up, and not Barrett himself. Battling the pirates in space, you then go to a nearby planet that the pirates have been harassing you from, go through a very creepy outpost that has the storyline of an alien spider nest that has gotten out of hand, only to have the game sort of drop the environmental storytelling just for you to then deal with the pirates directly. Heaven forbid where we have a really good idea and kind of flush it out a bit more, hey Todd? After which you'll then travel to the planets that Constellation have their clubhouse on, New Atlas, where the game just completely loses me once you meet the club and you start learning what their deal is. So Constellation is a group of individuals who are formed to explore the galaxy and the deepest parts of the universe and all the mysteries the universe has. It turns out the artifact that you discovered is not the only one that's in the universe, but Constellation have 2 others of similar nature in their possession. So you're probably sitting there wondering, what is this vision? What could possibly pull all these people together? Do you want to see the vision? You're not ready. You're really not. Okay, I warned you. This is the vision. No space dinosaurs. Barrett had the exact same vision as you, explained it to members at Constellation, which include CEOs and scientists and other explorers, and excitedly they all decided to band together and pull their resources together to fund this. That's it. Lights and music, and they even just describe it as lights and music. I'm sorry, were you expecting apocalyptic events? Maybe a vision of your death? Maybe some treasure? Alien artifacts? No, just lights and music. Barrett told people about this. They gave up millions of credits, and people uprooted their lives in pursuit of the story. I play a lot of tabletop RPGs and other role playing games, and I've seen my fair share of bad hooks for adventures, but this one takes the cake. There's just absolutely no stakes to the plot, so why on earth would you want to uproot your life on this hook? It's like going into work and hearing Britney Spears playing on the radio. You hear "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time," and that somehow convinces you and the rest of the office to quit your job and go sailing out for treasure. And can you imagine the fucking phone call? You're calling your wife and your kids. Sorry, honey, Mrs. Spears was playing on the radio, and she just spoke to me on a spiritual level. There's got to be more to life out there. So I'll see you in a few years, and then you have to quit your job. So you're calling your boss and going, "Fuck you and all the overtime you made me do." Mrs. Spears says that there's treasure out there, so go fuck yourself. I'm out of here. Fuck you. I'm taking Steve from accounting with me. Adventure is out there. Hit me, baby, one more time. It's not well written at all. We've done the vision quest to set you off on adventure, and Bethesda has done way better openings. I'm just not engaged with it at all. And honestly, if the game allowed me, I would have stayed on the mining site. I wanted to stay there right after Barrett told me that he had the same vision. I just was not. I was not invested. There was no point for me. Like, there was no impending doom, urgency, timing, nothing. It's just you heard music and saw some lights. Just annoyed because I know Bethesda can do better. They have done better. Dragons have returned and they're stirring shit up. Your wife was killed and your son kidnapped. The king was murdered by mysterious cults, and you were told to go find his son. Just think the Bethesda writing staff have just given up. Play of Starfield is passable after getting past the freezing and stuttering bug, of course. AI still isn't the greatest. Several times I've encountered the AI put 5 bullets into their mate before they realize they're under fire and start maybe going for cover or anything. Countless times one of the guys has decided to bull rush me with an axe, even though I'm toting a shotgun. You've played Fallout 4, it's pretty much gunplay. Some bits better polished there, some of the guns feel much better to handle, some of the guns have better feedback. Which, speaking of Fallout 4, this is the perfect segue into the annoying trend that Fallout 4 brought to the table. One that Starfield thinks is amazing and will shove it into your face at an alarming degree. New mechanics or plots before you even get the chance to know that you wanted to interact with them. It's the game equivalent of the devs dingling the keys in front of you out of fear that you've got a short attention span, and if something new isn't happening every 5 seconds, you'll quit the game forever. It happens the moment you land on new exiting your ship, meet the landing crew on the landing pad, bang, right in your face, trading, crew recruitment. Yes, telling, you'll want to be selling stuff, so you want to get it off you very quickly. Lazily, they've just done it as a terminal off to the side. Okay, yes, you've got a ship, you'll probably want to eventually hire a crew for it, but I mean, you've just landed part of the main quest, and you're not even sure if you're going to be exploring the universe. Granted, it is a space game, you know it, but in the world of the plot, you're not there yet. Vasco, the robot, escorts you into town and walk past a security guard. There's a bit of world fluff where the security guard says you'll be scanned upon entering the city to see if you have contraband or any warrants out on your arrest. And before he even takes a breath after ending that sentence, then mentions that the bartender in town has lost something and keeps filing police reports. Pop up to the side, new quest found, go talk to the bartender. After meeting Constellation and being forced to join their club, you'll chat to each member one-on-one, and there you'll be told about crafting before you even seen the crafting table and even know that crafting's a thing. Granted, this is a Bethesda game, crafting's going to be a thing, but you haven't even gotten your on the ground yet. And then Vasco will sprout up saying that you need to go and you'll be building settlements and outposts when you're exploring the galaxy. And this is before you even have done anything. Slow down, Starfield, slow down. You're like an eager date. We're on our first date before the appetizers have even hit the table. You're telling me you want me to move in with you and you've already got a drawer empty if I want to leave some socks and a toothbrush behind. I know Fallout did this. You know, Fallout was very quick to get you to want to build settlements and give you the power armor and then the radiant questing system just shoveling quests down your throat before you even have a chance to finish your drink. You know, Bethesda and Starfield in general, just showing how they're really the fast food of gaming in general. Like the McDonald's, really. They got millions of dollars, loyal fans. You'll get an alright meal out of them. You know, they got the resources to do better, but they won't. I'm just glad that FromSoft and Larian Studios are showing how it could be and should be done. I know there'll be stuff in Starfield that I'll like, and there is stuff that I like. The character creation had some interesting options, such as an option to have your parents be alive somewhere in the universe that you're funding them, might be able to encounter them later on, or the fact that you've got this amazing house somewhere in the universe that you're paying a mortgage off on. Some of the environmental storytelling is fantastic. Seriously, the outpost that you go and encounter the pirates on, you're learning about a alien spider outbreak, and it's really cool. You see blood spewed all over the place and other scientists that have been ripped apart. It's really spooky and had me on edge. The gunplay is a step up. I just wish the AI would step up alongside with them. And the ship's customization, when you eventually get to it, is an interesting rabbit hole, and you get to see some interesting builds that people have done. But the writing and steps the game goes out of your way to pull you out of the immersion just hurts. We've seen Starfield done better elsewhere. I mean, let's take No Man's Sky, Star Citizen, or Elite Dangerous, all who've done the space immersion gameplay better. They're able to get you into your ship, flying around to another planet and back down to another planet, all without a loading screen, breaking you out of the immersion. It's on GamePass. It's a Bethesda game, so you know it'll get the pass, and everyone will be happy with it. And we'll get another 6 or 7 versions of the game in no time at all. With the leaps and bounds that Larian Studios has shown with Baldur's Gate 3, I feel like every other company needs to really step up their game. Bethesda used to be the headliners of RPGs, and now they're really starting to fall back behind. Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 really should have been the wake-up calls. I think they've been cutting too long on the success of Skyrim, and they're really starting to have to play catch-up. And hopefully, with everyone singing the praises of Baldur's Gate 3 of being the new standard of RPGs, hopefully everyone else will pick up the pace and run alongside with Larian Studios. But that's just me being wishful thinking. Regardless, I reckon that Starfield will have a place for everyone. It may not be the pinnacle of RPGs that we were hoping for, but there's something there for everyone. I was just hoping for a bit more. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, feel free to give me a subscribe and a follow. We stream live on Twitch weekly, and we like to ramble and talk about RPGs and tabletop RPGs and just other random shenanigans. Until next time, gamers, you have a great one. I could have made the hook work. Maybe that you were the only one that's ever had this vision and that you had to try to convince people that the end of the world was coming through this vision, or maybe there was some fantastical loot. I reckon if you started at the bottom and built your way up, I reckon it could have worked. Nah, it's still a terrible hook.